All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Mark Rudis. I am the founder and CEO of SchoolPass. So just to give you guys a little bit of some background on me, I've been in enterprise software for, more than 20 years. And started my career actually as a developer. So, lived and breathed software for many, many years. So what I was really gonna tell you, right, is that we started SchoolPass because of a pain, and at schools, and my kids were at a local school here in Rockville, Maryland, and the school principal came to me and knew I was in technology at the time, and said, look, we have to do something, right? And that's kind of where it started. It started out with dismissal automation, trying to make sure that the school can know which kids are getting into which vehicle, knowing that, my son is not going home with, one of his mates, right? So how can we make sure that the school has that full visibility, right? So as we move through the years, we've learned more and more from schools about just what school operations really mean, and how schools can best solve that, right? So we've built obviously our platform over the many years here, and I want to spend maybe a couple of minutes this afternoon just talking to you a little bit about visitor management and why that's come about, and come about in a very strong way from schools, and how that fits into our overall product strategy moving forward, right? And I want to spend a minute or two just talking about the frustrations of existing visitor management solutions, and why schools have really pushed us to include visitor management as part of our framework. And then I'll just take you through a couple of screenshots just to give you a glimpse into the product, and why we've really connected arrival, attendance, and dismissal with visitor management, right? Because in a way, and you guys are at schools, right? They are connected, right? They are connected in a way that today it's a very it's different systems that manage this data in silos, and it's manual in many cases. All right, so I want to maybe just take you through our safety framework, right? I mean, this, visitor management and the introduction of visitor management is not by chance, right? It fits into our framework that's in the cloud, and we really stress the importance of having connected data in one place, and that data is accessible to the right folks at the right time. But right, we want to consolidate. Instead of having 6 systems, you have one system that's directly connected to your SIS. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about our framework. I'm sure you guys have not seen this, right? But we do believe, right, that if we want to protect the student in your classroom, on your campus, right, there's a few things that need to happen. Our first layer is what we call perimeter security and visitor management, right? So we do believe that visitor management fits into that very first layer of security and campus security for a school, right? We want to know that a vehicle driving onto the campus belongs to a specific person, either that's part of your school community, could be a vendor, could be a high school student, right? But we want to give you, the school, enough visibility into that, the presence of that vehicle, whether it's driving off or on or off your campus, Should they be there? Why are they there, right? Even before they come to the front door and do a visitor management sign-in, right? This allows you to do more mitigation than management of an emergency or any kind of event. You know, a really, really good example would be if you have, you know, a custody battle, right, or issue with one of the families, or if, you know, a staff member was fired 3 weeks ago, right? You want to have that alert, right? So there's this, you know, this connection, right, to the visitor signing in at your front door, or, right, if you have a security booth, right, there has to be enough visibility for that security guard to be able to say, yep, I know who that is, or, you know, it might be a pre-registered vendor visit. You know, SchoolPass is going to visit your campus on Monday at 11 a.m., right? When that vehicle drives on campus, we will know, or the security guard will know that me driving onto the campus is for that specific reason, right? So just closing that gap and giving the school enough knowledge, right, about that vehicle driving onto the campus. The next thing that's important to us, right, is, you know, if a parent is picking up a student from, you know, for a dental appointment at 1 o'clock, right, and they're going to check out through our visitor management station, are they authorized, right? So we do quite a bit of validation, but this validation is managed by the parent, right? I, as a parent, can say, hey, listen, my neighbor, John, can pick up my kids. And by the way, I'm going to add it right now so that John, when he arrives, right, he's actually on the list, right? So we want that driver authorization to be more visible. We know that there's a lot of changes that happen throughout the school day, but we want to give parents that ability to make those changes and be fully aware of earlies, lates, bus changes, right? So anything and everything around the movement of that child from the time they get onto campus to the time they leave on a bus, into aftercare, car line, right? So arrival and dismissal change management is a core part of the framework. As you guys all know, right, you know, the afternoon chaos is not fun. So we try to help with that. We will give you a full roster for you to know which kids are meant to be on a bus. We're going to give you, you know, full visibility into when a parent drives onto the campus. We'll put, you know, their name into the classrooms, right? If it's aftercare or any kind of enrichment class, right? They're going to be checked in and checked out. And lastly, right, sorry, you know, the last thing here for us is, you know, just emergency attendance, right? So the last piece for us is attendance in the classroom, which is available now, but emergency attendance is going to be available in Q3, right? Can you account for all the kids very quickly, taking all the changes into account instead of using a manual clipboard or trying to figure out where kids are, right? So this is our framework. It's a framework that's, you know, been developed over many years, really driven by schools. So we've kind of merged what we've heard in you know, 20 states now, and said, look, you know, we want to make sure that we can not just address one small piece. Now, I can tell you, right, some schools start with just dismissal management, right? Others are like, hey, I really want to be able to know who's, you know, which kids are on my bus, which stops they're getting off at, and I want to be able to let parents know when buses have left my campus or when kids have got off at stops, right? Others have said, listen, I only want to protect my campus, so I really want to know who's driving on and off my campus, and then move in towards the center, right? So You can start anywhere. Some schools have said, listen, this is important enough for us. We're going to do everything day one. Could happen, but that's typically not how it happens. All right, let's talk about visitor management. I'm not too sure if you guys can see the humor in this graphic, right? We don't want these huge units in your front office that can't go anywhere, that needs this constant, oh, how does it work, right? No more, right? Schools have said, number one, I do not want this, PC-based system that takes up half of our front office to be part of our strategy moving forward in terms of safety, right? So can we have something that is really that has mobility, right? And I'll kind of show you that in a second. Many of the visitor management solutions today don't focus on K-12. Right, so our focus is K-12 only, right? And there's a reason for that. Why? Because there are so many connected things that happen during the school day that it's a K-12 business process, right? It's got nothing to do with a commercial lobby and visitors coming, right? Like it's a completely different set of requirements. We want identification to be faster, right? Like, why not use an HID combo card that students use to get into the building, and also do attendance and sign in for lates and earlies, dismissals, right? So let's look at everything, right? RFID, NFC, RFID, digital IDs, right? Anything and everything that can make this process just faster. Right, and I'm sure a lot of you know, if you have a big group coming into the school for Grandparents' Day or something, right? Like the line is long, and typically it's 20 minutes to get everybody signed in, right? No more. We want one data set, right? Why should you maintain a list of parents that are at your school and doing imports and trying to keep it up to date, right? No, right? We want that to be one data set that's connected to attendance, connected to changes, connected to parents, and really driven by the SIS. We want to be able to have a link between a vehicle arriving or leaving the campus and a visitor or a student, right? There has to be some smart relationships between the data on the station and the presence of that person coming in and out of your building. Hope that makes sense. So, this is our visitor management solution. Runs on an iPad, and you can essentially take it anywhere as long as you have a internet connection via Wi-Fi or data. And the printer is even mobile, right? So our printers have a battery, rechargeable battery, and you can print up to 2,000 labels on a single charge. Take it anywhere, right? So, gone are the days, right, of a PC sitting on your front office desk, right? There's no need for that anymore, right? So it's an iPad. You just provide the iPad. We provide the rest, and the interface is very, very simple. You're either a visitor, student, or staff, and you can essentially sign in, sign out that way. Or if you have any kind of digital ID that's issued by the school through SchoolPass, you can do that in and out, right, very quickly, right? So we want the sign-in and sign-out process to be as fast as possible. We're going to support visitors, staff, and students, and these are on and off. You can, if some schools say, hey, listen, we don't really want staff to be signing in and out. Absolutely okay, it's available, you don't need to use it. We're going to do an offender check like any other visitor management solution, and it's real time, and there's a whole lot of there's a whole host of configuration that goes around that, and I'll kind of talk about that in a second. We can do visitor badge printing, and then we can also do student tardy or early dismissal slip printing, right? So, many schools, right? Many schools, if there's if there's a late arrival or midday dismissal, it's still paper, right? So we're saying, look, let's do this. And by the way, if a high school student is checking out early, we can actually do some validation to make sure that it's either valid or not. And there's also parent involvement in that process. We support quick pins, digital IDs, RFID, HID combo cards, barcodes, QR codes, right? We want to leverage any technology that you've already spent money on. If your high school students have a barcode, we will essentially use that barcode during check-in, check-out. FAU in Boca, Florida, right? The high school students or their students have barcodes on their student IDs. We essentially just using it, right, to do the check-in and check-out with attendants. We can show you a little bit about how we do a visitor or group pre-registration, right? Again, to speed up the process. Full SIS integration, Blackboard, PowerSchool, senior systems, right? Or any other system that you have in terms of your SIS, right? There's a constant synchronization between the systems. If you do have license plate cameras installed, right, we can essentially do some kind of pre-scanning and know, right, that a signing that's going to happen is because of a pre-assigned visit for that visitor. Schools want to be able to give their school community digital IDs that's going to be, just an ID that's on their wallet. And the ID will essentially allow them to do fast scanning and scan out. Those digital IDs, right, can have an offender check against them automatically, or you can do a one-time offender check, or you can do an offender check on every scanning, right? You can expire individual IDs. You can do, groups. You can do, everybody for the school year. So, new incoming students, families will actually get new digital IDs. Existing families and parents, drivers, will essentially get new IDs, right? So we want to expire them, right? We obviously have text and email notifications when these digital IDs are scanned, if required, right? So if you want to have a little bit more visibility into where these IDs are being used at at which stations, you can do that, right? So this was probably one of our most asked for requirements. And the important thing about the digital IDs are that it's location aware. So, think about when you actually have your boarding pass on your phones, right, in your wallets, right? When you get closer to the time to board, the pass will actually show up on your locked screen. Our pass will show up on the locked screen based on the location of that phone. So we will put a geofence around the school. So when you arrive at the school, the pass will actually be up on your lock screen. Okay, again, right? Easy access to data, making it valid, and presenting it, at the time that it's needed. just a quick sense of our, our visitor, sign-in screen, right? Just very quickly, right? You can scan your driver's license, pull in your date of birth, obviously take a picture, right? But we want to make this as fast as possible. All of these fields are configurable, so you can make some of them visible, some of them hidden. The photos can be, and the signatures can be optional or required. We do assign what we call a SchoolPass quick pin on sign-in. So, you can make that quick pin available to a visitor for sign out on that same day, or, hey, listen, I want to make that quick pin valid for the next 3 days, right? So again, a quick pin, 4-digit number. So instead of them scanning their driver's license again or entering all this data, they will actually come in and say, hey, I have a quick pin, and it actually pulls all of this data up for them. So you have the option that a visitor can receive a digital ID to this phone number that can be used for a period of time. Again, it's configurable. Schools want visitor data, whether it be visitors, parent visitors, students, staff, right? All in one place that's accessible by campus or station, right? I should be able to say, across my 2 campuses or 3 campuses, when did Jennifer Adams, get onto, sign into our campuses over the past 3 months, right? There's no need for somebody to go into some back office system, log in as an admin, and try to get the data for you, right? We want to have that data available right now, right? You'll be able to export that data and do all kinds of things with it. Again, visitor management is just part of our platform. This is TARDIS, right? So as a parent, when I come and drop my child off, because James had a doctor's appointment this morning at 9:30, I will scan my digital ID. The screen comes up. It says, oh, okay, it looks like you had a late arrival for James. Just sign James in. And when that happens, the teacher gets a notification, the TARDIS slip gets printed, and that late arrival record will go directly into your SIS. Again, right, we want to connect the dots, right? Schools do not want to have this disconnected, siloed systems where data is just not, the only way to put those dots together is to manually do that on paper and consolidate it into a Google Sheet somewhere that has to go into your SIS, right? No more. Visitor and pre-registration, right? So I can say, hey, listen, I've got this meeting with SchoolPass next week, Tuesday. I am the organizer. I want to do an offender check, or I don't want to do an offender check on sign-in. I can essentially create this event. When I create the event, I can also add attendees who's attending that meeting. I can do it based on parents or drivers that's in my SchoolPass database. I can add individual ones, or I can add a list of a CSV, right? So, a really, really good example here is, during, enrollment visits, right? Prospective parent visits, we will essentially allow you to import the list of prospect parents. And when we do the import, we can actually send them event codes, and the event codes will actually be a way for them to add that digital ID or that digital pass to their wallets. And the exact same thing will happen when they arrive that morning onto your campus. The the digital pass will be on the lock screen. We allow you to do bulk printing of the badges, right? So if this is really a list that you want, right? And you're saying, hey, listen, we might not do an offender check on this list. That's okay. You can actually just print the badges ahead of time, and you can still ask the attendee to sign in, but everything will be pre-populated. The only thing that if you do require an offender check, the offender check will occur, right? So again, just an easy way for you to kind of set up these visits. It's not required, but it just allows you to do a lot more ahead of time and do the the pre-printing of your badges. So that I maybe went a little longer than expected, but obviously I asked Lindsay's probably got hopefully has one or two questions, but the best way to get a little bit more details and a little bit more clarity around our visitor management product, is obviously to schedule a demo or, through the customer success rep if you have one. Lindsay, any questions?
Hey guys, actually, I meant to bring this up earlier, but if you do have any questions, just populate it in the Q&A box. I'll give you another 30 seconds to a minute here to add any, and then otherwise we'll cover off on a few that we have in the queue. Okay, I'll bring up one here. What happens when someone fails an offender check?
Great question. So we do what everybody else does, right? We don't print the badge, and there will be a text and or email going to specific folks that you designate by station that should be notified of the failed check. So, a lot of schools, some schools are, pretty serious about that. So, they don't even allow that visit on campus. Others will have that, maybe it's, somebody that, has to fix maybe a maintenance issue, right? So they will always be accompanied, right? So, if you, if the offender check fails, you'll definitely know about it. Great question, by the way.
Okay, good. Thank you for the answer. We have another one here. Does your program communicate with a certain type of camera, or will several different cameras work?
Yeah, so that's one of those questions which the answers depends, right? But I assume you're talking about the license plate cameras, right? So we have schools that don't have LPR cameras, right? So we obviously install those cameras. So we provide the cameras. We do have some schools that have existing LPR cameras, and we can actually integrate into those cameras by just pulling a stream from those cameras, and we do our own license plate recognition on our software. So the short answer is yes, but they have to be LPR cameras, and if you have them, in the right location, at the right angle, the right, the plate density is what's important for us. So as long as the plate density is, kind of meets our minimum requirements, absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you. The next question we'll ask is, can the system run by itself unmonitored?
Yes, right. We always want that, right? So yeah, I mean, listen, we want to move to the cloud, right? Like we want to move, and schools want to move to the cloud. Why? Because we can't rely on the server not working, or something, right? A lot of you will probably say, hey, listen, yeah, but if the network is down, the network's down, right? Well, yeah, but if you have this iPad, this VM station that has cell on it, right, as an option, you can still operate your visitor management with everything down, right? You could even have power down, right? So yeah, I mean, our mission, right? Our mission in life is to try to move, all this very critical K-12 process to the cloud, right? We want it to be available, and we want it to be available 24/7. Good question. Yep.
Great, thank you. I think that wraps up the questions here. If anyone else has any follow-ups, feel free to type it in now. Otherwise, you can reach out to us directly, either myself or Mark, or a customer success rep if you are working with one currently. Otherwise, we hope that this was helpful for you, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your time. Take care.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.